past year, we did process, I think, $9.5 million worth of land loans through the VLB. And I would say the most advantageous part about our program is that we only require a minimum of 5% down versus the 20% you'll put down elsewhere. So if that's the case, you can benefit from not only just putting that 5% down, not only can you stretch this out over a 30-year term, but you're not required to even build on it. But if you decide to, that's the icing on the cake.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, for those of you who missed the very first video, Travis and I did a whole series of Q&A style that's very beginner friendly. So that's where you want to start first. And this video is for the more advanced questions where we dive a little bit deeper into what the Texas Veterans Land Board is all about. How does it work with VA loans? And Travis, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for being here.
All right. Good to see you, Omar.
Heck yeah.
Good to see you.
All right. Let's get started with question number 1. So, can you explain what Texas residency means for eligibility? Does the veteran need to have a Texas driver's license or just live here?
That's a pretty good question because oftentimes we get asked that exact question. A lot of people are either PCSing from a different duty station or have been here for some time and maybe just unaware about the benefit. But utilizing a Texas driver's license is one form of proving residency here in the state of Texas. You could also use a utility bill. You can use a letter from a relative. If you happen to have a relative that lives in Texas and you're on orders to come here, you can use that to get the process started.
Okay, so if I heard you correctly, for those for not veterans but active duty people, because there's a lot of bases here in Texas, if they get stationed here, then their orders is something they because they're not going to have a driver's license yet, right? Or any bills
Yes.
yet. So their orders
Yes.
is something they could use to start the process.
100%. 100% can use their military orders, and I can refer to where you can find on the website this information. So our certificate of eligibility requirements. When you're applying for a home, you have to fill out that COE information. You will see it. I think on page 6, or I may be misspeaking on that, but in there is in black and white how you can prove your eligibility or your residency.
Okay, so you can find that on your website. You just have to navigate to it.
hmm
Okay, okay. And then I would imagine the same thing if you're a veteran too. You still need your certificate of eligibility as well.
Yes, you
Okay.
do.
So either way, if you're active or a veteran, you still need that's the first starting place is that certificate of eligibility. And on your website is the steps on how to get that.
Yes.
Okay. If we have time, I'll try. We can share. I'll share. We can do the sharing screen, and we can navigate that with you guys. So let's move on to the next question. If a veteran buys land through the VLB, so that's the Veterans Land Board, do they have to build a home within a certain time frame?
No. So the veteran, veteran or service member, they can purchase this land as early or late as they like. The land, you're paying it off over a 30-year term. So you have the convenience of sitting on that land and never building on it if you like, or you can seek out what we call interim construction financing through the builder of choice. And once that happens, you can build on that land.
Okay, so from like I guess a strategy standpoint, say you're driving around, you see a piece of land that's perfect, that checks all your boxes, and it checks all the boxes for the Veterans Land Board. You can totally do that this year in 2025, and it because typically land is going to be cheaper than buying a house with land. Then that way you secure the land, and that way you can have a few years later to apply for the VA loan, maybe when you are in a better position financially, or just taking advantage of that opportunity now because land kind of goes up over time. So that's something to kind of think about as far as why you would want to wait and not do everything together. Have you
Yeah,
seen?
Yeah, I've heard scenarios where that was successful for some people, and I do believe that trend is growing because the word is getting out. This past year, we did process, I think, $9.5 million worth of land loans through the VLB, and I would say the most advantageous part about our program is that we only require a minimum of 5% down versus the 20% you'll put down elsewhere. So if that's the case, you can benefit from not only just putting that 5% down, not only can you stretch this out over a 30-year term, but you're not required to even build on it. But if you decide to, that's the icing on the cake. You can definitely build on it through inter construction financing, because the VLB, we won't build it, but you can seek out inter construction financing with the 2-time close.
And I like what you said there. We keep saying veterans again and again, but this applies for
Yes.
veterans and all active duty military members. It's just
Yes.
easy thing to kind of get forgotten and lost in translation with veterans, but everybody
Mhm.
qualifies if you meet the criteria and of eligibility yourself and with Texas Veteran Land Board.
Mhm. And if you like, I can, kind of put that out there again what the requirements are.
I'll go for it.
So you could be on active duty for at least 90 days, not dishonorably discharged, be a bona fide resident here in the state of Texas through proving one of those methods, whether it be utility bill, PCS orders, a letter from a relative, a utility bill, and so forth and so on. Texas driver's license. You can use those methods of proving your bona fide residency for at least one day. You could be a Texas National Guard member. You can be a surviving spouse of a veteran who was missing in action, or their death was service connected, and you did not remarry. And then I think there's another criteria in there. Or a reservist with 20 qualifying years towards active duty, towards retirement, or those 90 days on active duty. So definitely active duty service members do qualify so long they meet that criteria.
Hmm. Fantastic. I'm glad you were able to spit that out because I would not have known that.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Can a veteran use a VLB loan more than once for multiple land purchases or after selling a property?
Yeah, so our program, you can use each one of our loan options as often as you like. The thing we don't allow is to like loans out at the same time. So you can have a land loan, a home improvement loan, and a land loan, home loan, and a home improvement loan out all simultaneously, if it fits your budget. Multiple land purchases, that wouldn't be an option due to that being two like loans.
Okay. You said two light loans?
Uh, like,
Oh, two like
like loan.
loans. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we have the land loan, the home improvement loan, and then the VA loan. Is that correct?
Land loan, home improvement loan, and a home loan. And I like that you said VA loan, but we do allow our clients, I'll say clients, to utilize
Convention.
VA, FHA, or
Okay.
conventional financing, so they can use either of those options through one of our participating lenders.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And I would say that the tricky part here is because I know I see on social media a lot and it's becoming very popular where veterans are seeing these kinds of programs and they want to buy land, build maybe not just for themselves, but maybe do like a little family compound situation
Hmm.
and have like, have like their community right then and there with them. But I guess when if you're building from the ground up, that you have to find a lender that does these construction loans because you can get very there's a lot of nuance to it and making sure that you're following all the requirements because you just can't hire someone in your family. They have to be licensed and insured, and they have to. I think they give you that leeway of finding someone yourself, but they have to make sure they check all these boxes, and that's when it can get a little bit. It can get frustrating because you just weren't told this.
Correct, correct. And I think when it comes to the family compound type situations, when you go into the purchasing a land or financing land through the VLB, the only person that you can put on the actual loan with you is your spouse. Oftentimes, I'm at Fort Hood. It's funny. I'll see friends walk up. Hey, can me and my friend do this together? Or you and your significant other that's not if it's boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you want to call it. Um, that they don't qualify to go in on a land loan together. However, if people can get with the seller and they're willing to, let's call it subdivide, if it's 10 acres subdivided, then you can have a tract here in your name, and the other person on the invisible on the other side of that invisible line can have the other tract, and they can then kind of combine in that way. But that's kind of a way around that.
I
Or
see.
several veterans that know each other, retirees and in the military, active duty service members that find land that the seller's willing to subdivide in that manner. Then I think, getting with them and going that route will be an option.
Okay. And you'd also want to check the deed restrictions to see if that's even possible. But now we're getting really into the weeds, and that's something
Yeah.
we can definitely do like a consultation call with either myself or Travis, depending if you want to dive deeper. This is just more meant to cover some more advanced questions for this program for the, and yes, yes. So that's a good, I'll have all my information linked in the description along with Travis if you want to connect with us either through email or by phone. So you can, that's a good starting point.
Hmm.
Okay, let's move on to the next question, which is what are the most common reasons land doesn't qualify? You have flood zones, no road access, etc.
Yeah, so I talked to our loan officers, loan processors quite a bit, and one of the things that they mentioned was exactly that, not meeting the criteria for the easement. The easement may not be at that 60 feet requirement that we require, or the flood zones. You may be in a floodplain, but it may not meet the criteria of being free and clear of being an acre free and clear. So sometimes it's just very small things, and then survey issues is another one that we run into, whether it be an old survey or well, not necessarily old, but not meet our criteria. It can be old, but if it meets our criteria, you're not required to do a new survey.
So you said something kind of fast there. So let's say for an example, you're buying 10 acres and 9 of those acres was in a flood zone, but you had 1 acre that was not. Would that qualify?
Yes, you need 1 acre that's free and clear of the floodplain.
Okay, so that could
Yep,
possibly work, but then it gets a little bit
a little
you're kind
tricky.
of yeah, you're walking a very fine line. And with land, there's a lot of things that can happen. Usually, if you're outside of city limits, the deed restrictions and just getting like any of the paperwork associated for that land can be very very difficult because it's not everything is online for these small places in small towns. So you have to
Hmm.
physically go and look this stuff up, but that's where I come in as your real estate agent. If you decide to move forward with this, that's my job is helping you find land that kind of qualifies if you're looking to use this program. So just throwing that out there.
Now there are some exceptions for your easements, and that's case by case. But anything less than 30 is a definite no go. But there are some times where the county may require may allow certain things and so forth and so on. But 60 is our requirement, and that's
Okay.
a conversation if it has to go below that.
Okay. So 60 feet from an easement is the magic number to remember.
60 feet, the dimensions that's the magic number. 60 feet. Yep,
Okay. Okay.
for your easement.
Gotcha. So those are some of the most common reasons, and the survey. The survey can we can do a whole another video on just the survey alone because it could be, it's just finding the right surveyor that can read the requirements. Because I think they're pretty basic. That's what most surveyors do already. But it's just you guys want it a very certain way for your process. Which I know I've met surveyors that like know how to follow instructions, or some that just like to do things their own way. So if you work with me, that's something that I can definitely help you and connect you with the right surveyor so we don't have to deal with that headache. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Next question is how strict is the survey requirement? Does it have to be brand new or can an older one work?
Yep, I think I did just allude to that one, but it can be an older survey. We don't really care about the age of it, but as long as it meets the criteria that's listed on our site, which I think you may be able to navigate to later on. But there are some instances where you would have to go out and purchase a new one, and most times that burden is on the buyer. Um, I've seen certain surveys that looks like etch a sketch, or like one of my children, drew it out, and that doesn't meet criteria. So, but it's all listed on our website on that requirement for the surveys.
Yeah, in one little tidbit from just my perspective, and the if we're talking about just normal surveys for a residential home, a lot of those now are copyrighted by the surveyor, so you can't legally reuse it without notifying the surveyor saying, "Hey, can I do it?" And they'll probably charge you something because that's I guess how they protect themselves and their business. So that's how it normally works in with everything else. But
Hmm.
in this case, you can reuse it, but it has to meet your criteria. which can be a hit or miss.
Agreed.
Okay. So let's move on to the next question here.
Okay.
Can veterans combine a VA loan with a VLB home loan, or do they need to pick one?
That's funny because I think someone asked me that question yesterday. I was doing a CE course for a company, agency out of San Antonio, and that was a question that came up. Um, I think there's a misconception that the VLB has a standalone home purchasing program. We don't originate any home loans. So all of our home loans are originated through a list of 90 plus participating lenders that we have on our list. And the thing I want to make sure that we can communicate to some of our clients, and some, if you know any lenders out there doing really great work that are helping veteran friendly, then please let us know, and we can get them connected with our service and loan provider, Gateway Mortgage, and the other ones that can vet people on and off that list. And we keep it updated every year. So on our website, you'll be able to navigate whichever lender that you want to work with. But to get back to your question, uh, with the VA loan is amazing throughout the nation. Here in Texas, even more great because you have the VLB that you can add to it. And when I say you can add the VLB to it, it's the Veterans Housing Assistance Program that we have that we attach to your VA, FHA, or conventional financing. So if we're using a VA home loan throughout the nation, cool. Here in the state of Texas, also cool. But then add that extra with the VLB, our Veterans Housing Assistance Program, where you'll use our interest rate. And our interest rates, they fluctuate once a week at 5 p.m. if they change. Uh, and then if you're a veteran with a service connected disability of 30% or greater, you qualify for an additional half point off of that interest rate. And that's how we combine, so to speak, with a VA home loan.
Mm.
So you don't necessarily have to pick one. You can pick just a standalone VA home loan, and you may be at a higher interest rate, you may be at a lower interest rate, but because sometimes our participating lenders are the ones that can help you navigate what makes the most sense based off of your financial picture, and actually and your realtor that you're working with, they can help you navigate that, what makes sense. But if it makes sense to go with standalone VA, that's okay. We want you to save money, but most times the VLB's home base rate is going to be lower than what you get out there on the market most times.
Mm. Gotcha. So, uh, at the end of the day, you have options and pretty good options because you can kind of be a little bit picky and choosy on which way you want to go depending on your specific financial situation. So everybody's going to be a little bit different in that sense.
Hmm.
But sometimes it makes sense to do both. Sometimes it makes sense just to do one for now, and
Hmm.
depending on the state of the market. So, but again, at the end of the day, you have these options that nobody else has. Really, so this is that's why this program is amazing, and more veterans and active duty military folk need to become more aware of it, especially if you're coming to Texas.
100%.
All right, we're almost done here. We have, I think, two or three more questions to go. Let's go on to the next one. Can the dual spouse land loan be applied retroactively or only for new purchases after 2024?
So, from my understanding, it cannot be applied retroactively. If a veteran and service member, both, if they purchase land separately before, through that, maybe that option of subdividing and all that jazz, then they would have to go through the process again uh, if they wanted to use the dual spouse amount. But they won't be able to retroactively use this on previously purchased land. If that makes sense.
And the reason why 2024 is up there is because that's when that, I guess, was it a law or something changed for the dual spouses?
Yes. So one thing I'll say about the VLB, we are constantly refining our systems, constantly refining our processes. And one of those things and programs, one of those things that was, feedback, people always ask the question, hey, are y'all going to increase that amount? Are y'all going to, change this or tweak that? And we're listening, we're always assessing, and we want to always help improve, where we are and helping our veterans. So veterans and service members, make sure I say that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so November 1st last year was when we first rolled out the $225,000 dual spouse land loan.
And that was an increase from what previously?
Zero actually. So that there never was a dual spouse amount. So every veteran or service member, or whoever, it could be a surviving spouse, anybody that met the criteria and wanted to apply for a VLB land loan, the max amount was up to $150,000. And if you happen to be two dual serving, spouses, there was no amount that existed prior to November 1st, 2024.
Wow. So that was a big one that happened.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so let's move on to the next question. There's two questions left, and then we'll be done
Okay.
for this. All
All
right.
right.
So if you were advising a young veteran just moving to Texas, would you recommend starting with a VLB land purchase or waiting for a home loan, and why?
Okay. Young veteran moving to Texas. I think, well, I consider myself a young veteran. So if I were that person moving to Texas, I think the best option would be based off of your budget, based off your budget and your ambition. So if your goal is to, have a home and not necessarily purchase land and all of that, then go for that home loan. Get that home loan and start off there, because at the end of the day, you have to start. That land search may be a little bit more difficult, but you get with a realtor you trust, like Omar here, and you plug in with them, and you searched on that lenders list as you're getting ready to move here. That home option may be the best one. I think that's the quickest option. And as far as land goes, if you wanted to spread it out a little bit, you're going to need some time to really do research on where you want to be at, where you want to stay. Closeness to proximity to a city, whatever those things are, you want to have time to do that homework. You don't want to just jump into purchasing that land. You want to make sure it's something that you really want. And at the end of the day, even if you went the opposite way and just purchased land on hope and faith, that's okay. Um, but just understand you're going to have to live somewhere once you get here.
Yes, I echo everything you just said. For if you're an active duty military member and you're moving to Texas, then buying land probably wouldn't make sense unless you're retiring here, because more than likely you're going to be moving in 2 3 years anyway.
Hmm.
So that would be kind of hard because if you move to another state, then you're probably gonna want a home there too. And if you have all of your entitlement wrapped up in Texas, it's gonna be hard to do both. So it it only makes sense if you plan on staying here and like what's your long term picture here, right? Because more than likely you probably just want a home that's turnkey. So a home loan would make more sense if you're active duty, but if you're a veteran, you're living here and you plan on
Hmm.
staying here because you're growing roots here, then yeah, I think buying land and the home loan makes sense. But again, everybody's situation is a little bit different. That's why the consultation, and we could do it virtually, is so important. So we can it's almost like a discovery call. I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions to see what are your goals, what are you looking to do, and find a scenario that makes sense for you with either one of these two programs. Okay, let's move on to our last question on what's the biggest mistake you see veterans make when using VLB programs.
Well, I think I may have a spin on that question. I think the biggest mistake is not using the VLB program.
Mm.
I think that is the biggest mistake. Oftentimes, about a year ago, I can say it now. I was at an installation talking to newly arrived service members, and they had used a certain loan type and didn't know about the VLB. So when they used that loan type, um, that interest rate was 7%. VLB that week was at 5.4%. Had he known about our program, he could have saved some money. And not a knock at any loan type, but it's just the icing on the cake here in Texas. You can use us in conjunction with three different loan types: VA, FHA, and conventional. And I believe that just having knowledge about the VLB prior to getting here is one of the things that we lack. Even before getting here and while here. So that's the biggest push to get the information out there so people can make more informed decisions. Now, while using the program, I think if you're looking to purchase land, a big mistake may be not having the homework complete, such as having your debt to income ratio at 50% or less. Because at 50% or less, it would get you, not necessarily guaranteed, but get you a lot closer to that 5% that we require you to put down. There are other scenarios where people had to put more down because their debt to income ratio is a little bit higher, but we do weigh that debt to income ratio greatly. So that's the biggest piece of homework that we want to make sure people understand. Also, being here in the state of Texas, if you owe any back taxes or any back child support, you will not be able to go forward with this process until those actions are are policed up, and you don't owe anything. Well, you still owe, but as long as you're in good standing and you're making payments, then you can then continue the process. Um, but those are common things that halt that land loan process. And then as far as the home loans, yeah, that's buyer's preference. They can go around, shop around, see which lenders that they want to work with, but don't necessarily feel like you're obligated to, stick with one. You can shop around, call around, ask questions, and think about the incentives that you actually are looking for. And I think your realtor can help you understand what you're actually looking for. And then with you, the realtor and the lender, and you as the client, all combined, you can then make a better decision on which lender makes sense based off of what you want to do. But we got every lender on that list. They're all great, and they all have different types of incentives that they offer.
Mm, fantastic. Like, I think number one is just having awareness that these programs even exist. So if you're watching this on YouTube, consider yourself like, hey, you're the one that's seeking this information. So you're already off to a good start. Because I've noticed people who like to do their homework and research a little bit before you speak to either myself or Travis. You guys are usually the ones that actually follow through and that get to the finish line, because this is an awesome program, but there are a lot of requirements that, and it could become a headache very quickly, because again, you just weren't told or you didn't know, and you have to be almost a go-getter in one way to be able, because all of this is on their website, and that's actually a good segue for us to go take a look at that right now. Let
Okay.
me put this on. Okay, so we're on the Veterans Land Board website, and Travis is we're all going to together navigate a little bit on some of the things we talked about during the presentation, so we can you know how to find it.
Okay. If you go up to the Veterans tab, and go to Home Loans,
This one right here.
yeah, and I'll just be able to show y'all where you can find the COE requirements, the Certificate of Eligibility. So if you
Ah,
scroll here, the last bullet there, you'll see Certificate of Eligibility, and click on that. And if you scroll through here, this is everything that we would need to verify that you actually qualify for the VLB program. If you scroll down further, I think it may be on maybe the sixth or eighth page. I have it pulled up here. Let me see if I can see. It should be the one that says certification procedures. Yeah.
certification
Yes,
procedures.
at the
Okay.
bottom of that page.
Okay.
Bullet five, number five, you see it say submit proof of residency here, and it puts in black and white exactly what you would need to prove your residency: Texas driver's license, utility bill, military transfer orders, or most call it the PCS orders, and a letter from your relative that may live here in Texas.
Ah, there you go. That was fairly easy to find because you guys had it right at the very top. Because I'm sure that gets asked a lot, so you make it very easy for
Hmm.
us. Okay, so that's how you get that.
Hmm.
And then let's go back. That was the certificate of eligibility. That was under the veterans tab under home loans, and then this is what popped up. And again, there's a lot of information that your questions from that we had from our previous video we answered, but it was all from this one page, which I loved. We didn't have to go back and forth. Everything's here, which is very, very nice, especially for seeing this for the first time. Okay, what was the next thing, Travis?
We've already shown the lenders list, right? But that's also on that page if anybody wanted to see that, as well as the interest rate for this week. For
Ah,
those with a service connected disability of 30% or higher, you will see that when we go back. So let's check. Let's go Williamson County, since I know you're in Williamson County.
yes, W. Here we go.
And this is how you would be able to search through our participating lenders list, and understand you can use any one of these lenders that you like, as well as any lender throughout the state. You're not necessarily tied to a geographical location, but this is in your backyard, and you can schedule an office visit with any of these lenders. And I'm sure they will be glad to sit with you and educate you on which direction that goes best with your realtor.
Mm, fantastic. That's a lot. It's a nice list. And you said that it's right here. They don't try to hide it. And this, I'm sure, maybe gets updated when it changes. But right here, it shows you what the interest rate would be. That's very, very nice. I love it
Hmm.
when the information that we're looking for is kind of right, and you guys have it, very by itself. So people, it draws your eyes to it. So it's very nice. Okay, and the general requirements.
Hmm.
So this is all stuff that's really good stuff for you to read, so you can become more familiar. Okay, military service records. That's very nice. You have hyperlinks for that. Very cool.
I didn't think about this for National Guard and Reservists. Could you click that SCRA assistance here?
This one here. Okay.
Yes. So this is where if you're deployed or on Title 10 orders, you can have a portion of your payments delayed until you're back. And this is all the criteria here for both the home improvement and land loans. I don't know why I didn't think about this before, but this is very important as you see conflict that may be ensuing throughout the world. You may be called to duty, and if you are, guess what? This is something that can help you and your family while you're protecting our country.
Wow. Okay. See, I love that we discovered that when we were looking through. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Okay. Service Member Civil Relief Act. Okay, yeah, yeah. I remember seeing this when I was in. Uh,
Oh yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Look at that. Cool. That's very cool. All right. Was that everything that we wanted to show them?
And then maybe the survey requirements. We go back into let's go land loans.
Okay, land loans,
And if we scroll down, actually, sorry, could you go back? I think we'll go to forms. If we go
forms,
back to, yeah, veterans forms,
forms,
yeah.
resource library. Okay.
Just let's go. Can you go back and then just click on the hyperlink for forms? I think that'll get us
Oh,
there.
okay.
There we go. And then if you go to land loan forms, you can see VLB survey requirements here.
Ooh, okay. So this is a good one for us because that was a little trickier than the other ones. Okay,
Yes.
VLB survey requirements. Here we go.
And this is everything when you talk to your surveyor, when you get ready to get that land, they could get educated on this entirety of this process. And then some of them, they probably already know it, but they could just make sure that your land meets this criteria so that you can stay close to that 45 to 60-day timeline that we have for our land loans. This is
Gotcha.
one of the biggest things that can hold up the process, whether it be that debt to income ratio, certain documents not uploaded, and then not having the proper parameters for your survey. That can get you in that extended timeline that we don't necessarily want you to be in.
Gotcha. And look, you have right there in big bold. The VLB will not approve a survey of a tract unless it contains at least 1 acre, excluding any portion beneath a dedicated public roadway or navigable waterway, or is subject to frequent inundation, or is otherwise unusable. Okay.
Hmm.
So like that's all the easements that we were talking about earlier.
Hmm.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So that's something that now you know how to find and you can read for yourself
Hmm.
under forms. Okay. Okay. Wow. So I think that was it. I think that was it.
There's a lot, and I like to throw a plug in there as well for the Voices of Veterans program as well.
Uh,
We're in it having an initiative where we want to get more of our veteran stories. So for those that are out of the military and want to share their story, it could be from basic training, it could be from uh, a deployment, things you can share anyway. It could be from if you never deployed, that's okay because if you raise your right hand, you served and you decided to give back, sacrifice some time to help protect our nation. So please share your story on Voices of Veterans, and I'll leave that information with you, Omar.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll link that in the description if you guys want to take a look at that. And all right, so that's our second video. We did a deeper dive on what the Veterans Land Board is all about. Let me know in the comments if you're watching this and there's something that we may have missed or a question that we just didn't cover. I want to hear from you. And then I look at the comments, and then if we get enough buzz, if we get enough people commenting and a nice little back and forth in the comments, then I'll bring Travis on again and we can discuss this. And now you're getting it straight from the source, and you don't have to navigate all day trying to find the answers online. So, Travis, I appreciate your time and thanks for being here. And I'll catch you next one.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.